So you may have seen a big story today. I guess you can call it a big story. Donald Trump voted most admired man of 2020, right? And that was according to that's a Gallup poll, right? And so if you go on Twitter, you're going to see tons and tons of headlines about Donald Trump being the most admired man in 2020, right? What a huge accomplishment is how they want to, of course, spin this and push this this narrative. So if you go on Twitter and you're just going through and you're following people on the right, conservatives, things like that, especially a lot of these narrative pushers, you're going to come across things like Trump voted most admired man and he lost ? No ! So here's somebody pro-Trump, probably follows a lot of the narrative pushers out there, and she goes on her Twitter and she sees the headline and, sees it over and over and over, right? Everybody's posting about it, that Trump was voted the most admired man in 2020. He snapped Obama's 12-year streak of being the most admired man, right? According to this Gallup poll. Now, I can't say for sure. I don't know her, but I would imagine that here's how this works. She didn't click on anything. She didn't do any research. She didn't go any further. She didn't decide, let me go get the full context, the full understanding. What is this poll and different things like that? Just simply, I have my headline. I've got a bunch of my narrative pushers who are spinning their narrative, okay, on top of these headlines, tweeting certain things. And now I have my narrative that I'm supposed to take from this headline, which is, this is a shining example of why there must have been, voter fraud and the election was stolen, and why something can't be right here, because how is it that Trump was voted the most admired man in America in 2020, and yet he lost the election? Makes sense, right? If you just take it from that standpoint, you could understand why somebody might go, yeah, that is kind of strange. The guy's voted the most admired man, and yet he didn't win the election. Obviously, this is where, again, guys, getting above the noise, getting out of the narrative machine, okay? Getting out of this, this habit or this pattern that maybe you have, which is, I just listen to certain people. I just focus on the headlines and the tweets that the people I follow put to that headline. And that's as far as I go, because I've bought into the foundational narrative. I have decided that I believe that there is this battle between good and evil that's taken place in this country, that there is a battle for the soul of this country, and that my side is the Jedis and the other side is the evil empire. So as long as I can say that the person who is posting a certain tweet, sharing a certain headline, is a Jedi just like I am, I don't need any context. I don't need to use my analytical mind to do any research on this and look into this for myself. I just do what I'm told. Sometimes they just simply tweet the headline, which is what Act for America did when they tweeted, Donald Trump is the most admired man in the world, ! All capitals. Talk about narrative, right? I mean, talk about making sure that all you're doing is putting out the part of the story and all, whatever it is, to just feed and fit into the narrative that you want it to come across as. So anybody who is a Twitter follower of Act for America, here's what they saw on their Twitter. Donald Trump is the most admired man in the world. Wow. That's it. No link to anything, no context whatsoever. And even, in Donald Trump, man, I mean, again, guys, what Donald Trump proved, and the reason why you saw the shift that you did with a lot of senators and things like that, is he showed and proved what you could do in today's society with narrative and storytelling, persuasion techniques, and just good old-fashioned sales techniques. So here's what Donald Trump has done with this headline from this Gallup poll. Barack Obama was toppled from the top spot and President Trump claimed the title of the year's most admired man. Trump number one, Obama number two, and Joe Biden a very distant number three. That's rather odd given the fact that on November 3rd, Biden allegedly racked up millions more votes than Trump, but can't get anywhere close to him in this poll. No incoming president has ever done as badly in this annual survey. No incoming president has ever done as badly in this annual survey. That's because he got millions of fake votes in the 2020 election, which was rigged, ! Wow. So look, they don't need, Trump to send his tweet in order for them to, twist this the way that the narrative pushing whores are. But Donald Trump sends out a tweet like this. He understands and knows, guys, that he just set the narrative and they're going to, buy it. They're going to move forward off of this narrative and this narrative only, right? So here's what is fact. Trump was voted most admired man, right, in this Gallup poll. That's factual, right? And that's the headline that most people are going to bring in. And that's it, right? So they're going to bring in that headline. There's this Gallup poll that was done, and Trump was voted the most admired man in this particular poll. That's factual. That's concrete. That's it. So what is narrative? And I know, listen, I know I don't have to explain this for a lot of people, but just in case, narrative this is in some way, right, proof, or should come, should register in your mind as some kind of proof that you should be suspicious about the integrity of the election and all that kind of stuff. Because if this Gallup poll, in which Trump was voted most admired man, right, if that's the case in this poll, then that must mean that if Joe Biden, right, was not voted most admired man and he finished third even after Obama, that needs to come across to you as odd, given that Biden allegedly racked up millions more votes than Trump, but can't get anywhere close to him in this poll. No incoming president has ever done so badly in this annual survey. That's because he got millions of fake votes in the 2020 election, which was rigged. So look at what Trump has done here, right? He's taken a very factual statement, a very factual thing, which is he was voted most admired man in this Gallup poll. And look at the narrative, right, that he threw on top of it. So it just goes to show you guys the way that, again, narrative has been weaponized, that so much of what you are bringing in and essentially maybe taking as news, right, as information, is just narrative. You see, because so many on the, on the right and the Trump, loyalists and Trump supporters and all that, that's exactly what they're going to do with this. They're going to go, holy cow, guys, did you see? Trump was voted most admired man in the country. He must be right that there's no way he lost the election to Joe Biden because he was voted, most admired. Biden was finished third. Biden got the least amount of votes than anybody ever in this poll. And right? No context whatsoever. It's a shame. One of the things that also really stuck out to me when, going through the different headlines on this is one of the more obvious and infamous narrative pushing whores out there nowadays is Dinesh D'Souza, if I'm saying that correctly. I mean, he's never, met a, he's never met a narrative pushing opportunity for his own personal profit that he hasn't liked. I mean, he is, he ripped off somebody else's movie, repackaged it, called it Trump card. Anytime you see a new narrative being introduced into the machine, Dinesh D'Souza is right there behind it, pumping it away. This is a man who clearly He just doesn't care about anybody but himself. It's just really sad, guys, that these people are able to prey on very simple-minded people and, again, feed them this foundational narrative, get them into that foundational narrative kind of machine, and then just feed into their emotions, feed into the narrative. And obviously they do it for no other reason than, again, personal benefit, personal gain, financial gain. They literally don't care that they are the ones who are destroying this country. They are the ones that are feeding into this foundational narrative, which is designed to do nothing but make sure that we stay divided and that the temperature amongst us, so to say, rises and rises and rises. The more the temperature rises, the better for them. They have no desire to try to be a good American who understands that, yes, we are different. Yes, we have different opinions. We have different views on things. We always have. But we are not, good versus evil. This is not the plot of Star Wars. There is not one side's the Jedi and the other side's the evil empire, and there's this battle that's taking place for the soul of this country. That's narrative. That's storytelling 101, guys. And so, no offense, if you read a single tweet from a narrative-pushing hack and a whore, and I say whore because this is somebody who sacrifices their morals, their ethics, their values, anything and everything for money, for relevance, for power, whatever the case may be. So if you read a single tweet from Dinesh D'Souza and you say to yourself, well, here's an American loving patriot, you need to have your fucking head examined. You need to understand how deep you are in the narrative machine, and you need to pull yourself up and out of the noise. Because I can 100% assure you guys, Dinesh D'Souza is a fraud. Guy makes a documentary, right, where he lays out the narrative of there's the evil left and the Democrats, right? Secretly, what they're doing is they are wanting to turn America into a communist nation. And there's this secret plot to destroy America. They hate America. They want to enslave you, and they want to, take your guns away and like force you to have abortions, whatever, all this kind of crazy shit, right? And I say all this crazy shit, but unfortunately, there are millions upon millions of people out there in this country right now who believe this crap, who literally can't figure out, wait a minute, I'm being fed the fucking plot of Star Wars. I'm being told that I'm in a battle for the soul of this nation, and there's a deep, dark, secret enemy lurking in the shadows that wants to, destroy my country and make us all salute the president of China. It's crazy, but a lot of people believe it. But on top of, but that's the thing, guys, because a lot of people believe it, right, and have bought into this foundational narrative that's always kind of been, there, you have narrative pushing whores like Dinesh D'Souza who come along and say, ooh, I can take advantage of this. I can make money from this. So yeah, absolutely. After seeing that, Dinesh D'Souza is going to be on Laura Ingraham tonight to discuss this incredibly, I guess, important story that tells us so much, because again, headline, Trump voted most admired man. So let's get above the noise on this. Here's the reality, guys. If you take the time to actually click on the right headline right now, see, because that's the other thing that they do. Some of them, not want to say all of them, but in fairness, there are some that will link to either the original source, or maybe they'll link to something where somebody has covered the article and has shared some of the overall context, but not always all of it. But also some literally do not link to the primary source, right, of the article. They don't even link to a secondary kind of covering of the article that shares a good amount of context. A lot of them will link to like their own website, or they'll link to somewhere where there's very little context. It's mainly just the headline, and they, cherry pick what they want to, share from the primary source. So please, if you're curious, you're watching this video and you want to see how this works and you want to know the truth, start doing yourself a favor. You see headlines, click, get some context. What can it hurt? So if you go directly to the source, which is the Gallup news website, again, Gallup is the one that conducted this poll, right off the top, right, the first thing is the story highlights. 18% name Trump as most admired man. Barack Obama places second at 15%. Few Republicans name anyone other than Trump. Democrats split their votes. Now, here's where the article really starts to provide some context. The article states, the incumbent president is usually top of mind when Gallup asks Americans to name, without prompting, which man living anywhere in the world today they admire most. In the 74 times that Gallup has asked the open-ended most admired man question since 1946, the incumbent president has topped the list 60 times. 60 times, guys. Harry Truman, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, George Bush, and Trump, 2017-18, are the incumbent presidents who did not finish first in past years. So you had five times where the incumbent president did not get voted in this particular Gallup poll most admired man. So it's actually incredibly rare that it would not be Trump, to the point where Trump is one of only 5 incumbent presidents to not be voted most admired man in a particular year when Gallup did this poll. But obviously, that's not in the headlines. None of the narrative pushing whores like Dinesh D'Souza are going to share that. I guarantee you, if you watch Laura Ingraham tonight, Dinesh D'Souza is going to be pushing some hardcore narrative. Not going to talk about this kind of stuff. They're not going to get into the meat and potatoes. The article goes on. When the sitting president is not the top choice, it is usually because he is unpopular politically. That was the case in 2017 and 18 when Trump had 36% and 40% approval ratings, respectively, and finished second to Obama as most admired man. So that must have actually probably really stung Trump, is that, again, almost every time the incumbent president wins the most admired man award in this poll, and Trump actually ended up losing it to Obama, even though he obviously was currently the president and Obama was the prior president. But we're not going to hear anything about that. And we certainly didn't, I guarantee you, not a single one of the narrative pushing whores who probably have this headline all over their Twitter and are pushing this. Oh my God, look, Trump was the admired man. I guarantee you, go back and take a look. But I'd put a pretty large bet down that none of them shared the results of the 2017-2018 Gallup poll. Why share it? Why are you so excited about sharing it this time around? Surprisingly, it wasn't the swimsuit competition that got Donald Trump over the top this year and allowed him to win the most admired man in the world award, or whatever the fuck it is. So here's what did allow Trump to finally take home the most admired man in the world award, according to Gallup. Even though Trump is similarly unpopular now, 39% approve of his performance, his dominant performance among Republicans, contrasted with Democrats splitting their choices among multiple public figures, pushes him to the top of the 2020 most admired man list. 48% of Republicans name Trump this year, with no other public figures receiving more than 2% of Republicans' votes. Obama is the top choice among Democrats at 32%, but that is down from 40% last year. President-elect Joe Biden, 13%, is also commonly named by Democrats. Additionally, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, is named by 5% of Democrats, but only 1% of Republicans, further contributing to Democrats' relative dispersion of choices. Independents are evenly split between Trump and Obama, with another 3% naming Biden and 2% Fauci. Overall, 18% of Americans name Trump, 15% name Obama, 6 Biden, 3 Fauci. The remaining top 10 include Pope Francis, Elon Musk, Bernie Sanders, Bill Gates, LeBron James, the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama. So what's the reality here, guys? The reality is that Trump ended up getting to the 18%, right? Which was the most. So therefore, he's the most admired man award winner because, for this poll. But 48% of Republicans voted for Trump. No other public figure got more than 2%. So, guys, all this really told us is that Republicans like Trump and are loyal to Trump. We already knew that. Okay, but you can't make it seem like this somehow establishes that across America, when you consider both parties, you can consider all people, Trump is like clearly the most admired man in America. But that's the narrative, right? That's how they're going to try to spin this. That's what they want you to believe. This headline tells you. No. All this headline tells you is that 48% of Republicans voted for Trump, which is very, very normal and natural because, as we read earlier, most of the time, the incumbent president does win this award. It's very rare that it's not the incumbent president. So what did this really tell us, guys? Nothing. What does this mean? Nothing. Guys, it's a poll where normally the incumbent president wins this award. And what got Donald Trump, quote unquote, over the top to win this most admired man award is the fact that 48% of Republicans voted for Trump. And no other public figure amongst Republicans got more than 2% vote. Look at the Democratic side of things. Vote was spread, right? This means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Until, of course, you throw it into the narrative machine. You give this headline to the narrative pushing whores out there and the hacks who want to feed into the foundational narrative, who are always looking for some good, fresh content to feed into the narrative machine so that they can generate those clicks, make that money, have you watch their show, have you tune in, have you listen. Oh, they will tell you this is something, that this is big, people. Big headline. Breaking news. Stop what you're doing. We've got something big to talk about here. The president himself is tweeting about this. It's huge. I hope, man, I really do. I hope people see a video like this and maybe even if just a couple people say, you know what I'm going to start doing? Here's the commitment I'm going to make to myself. For the next 30 days, I'm going to go beyond the headline. If I see a headline and I find myself going, ooh, that's interesting, or, oh, that just angered me, or, oh, hey, look what that, piece of shit did, or whatever, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to spend the freaking time to actually look myself, to read the article, to gain the full context and understanding. Because guys, there's nobody out there who would go on to Gallup, read what we just went over, and process with their analytical mind and not come to the conclusion that this is a giant nothing burger. It's nothing. There's nothing about this story that means anything. But check your Twitter. Watch Laura Ingraham tonight. She's literally going to have a guest on that's coming on to talk about this. This. And I've saved the best for last. If you've made it this far, let me tell you why this is so absolutely ridiculous. And why, yes, I'm sorry, but Dinesh D'Souza is a clown. He's a clown. And Laura Ingraham is a clown. Because they're going to be on a cable news program tonight talking about this as if it is some kind of story, as if there is something to this. And watch tonight. Watch how they spin and push narrative and conveniently pick and choose what they want to talk about from this in order to push a narrative. It'll wake you up, man. I'm telling you. It'll blow your mind. When you get above the noise and you start realizing, holy shit, it's all just narrative. I got to start clicking on some things. I got to start actually reading some of these articles. I got to get some fucking full context. So here's the absolute kicker, guys. I saved the best for last, so hopefully you made it this far. But do you know how many people participated in this Gallup poll? 1,018. 1,018 people were, surveyed in this poll. That's how many people voted in this thing. 1,018. Guys, this is what? So a poll in which 1,018 people gave their opinion is clear evidence of what America thinks. It's comical, guys. This is comical. 1,018. That's it. 1,000 people, let's just call it. And yet, Donald Trump himself and all the narrative pushing whores out there are sharing this today on Twitter as if this means that Donald Trump is the most admired man in the world. Donald Trump's the most admired man in this country. Why? Because we asked 1,000 people, and 50% of Republicans said Donald Trump. What the hell, guys? That means nothing. This might be the giant, biggest nothing burger of a news story, if you want to call it that, in a long time. Now, look, I'm not trying to rain on, Donald Trump's parade or, Trump supporters. Not trying to rain on your parade. Look, all right, fine. He, tied Obama last year, or the last time they did this. And this time around, he was able to top him. Congratulations, right? Again, you can't take away the fact that what is factual here is that there was this poll. And Donald Trump got 18%, which was higher than Obama, higher than anybody else. But the bottom line, guys, is that you can't take something and use narrative to make it seem like it's something other than it actually is. If you're running from context, if you don't want context, if you watch a video like this and you hate me and you hate anybody like me who provides context, who says, hey, you know what? Let's actually look at everything. Let's bring in all the facts. Let's make sure we fully understand what this is all about. Then why? The question for you is why? Why are you against context? You need to be asking yourself that, because that means what you're literally saying is, I don't want context. I don't want all the information. I don't want the full actual story, so to say. What you're really saying then is, no, I want to be fed narrative. I want to be able to go on my Twitter and I want to be able to have people tell me how I'm supposed to feel, what I'm supposed to feel. And I want people to give me a headline, give me my narrative behind the headline, and send me out in the world to regurgitate and back this narrative. Why would you want to do that? There's this weird thing where people that Trump has, I don't know, it's like he's created this thing where it's like, if you don't do that, if you're not a fucking stormtrooper, meaning, you know, you just put on your damn stormtrooper uniform and fucking take your orders every day and march out there. If you don't do that, then you're like, you know, an enemy of Republicans and conservatives or whatever. Like anybody who questions in any way, anybody who wants context, anybody who wants to ask questions, anybody who ever says anything negative about us, you're a traitor. You're an un-American, unpatriotic traitor. It's fucking weird, man. So congratulations, Donald Trump. I guess what we can't deny is that 500 people, 500 Republicans said that they admire you more than any other man in the world. Big accomplishment. And look, I'm not trying to rain on Trump's parade. The man got 18%. That was a higher percentage than anybody else. There is truth to this story, and that is that he was voted the most admired man in this Gallup poll. That's factual. I just hope that everybody does what I did and just say, oh, okay, well, I saw this headline. Let me go to the Gallup site. Let me go to the source and let me make sure I read everything that I can, right? And take it all in so I can have full context, full understanding. Because I'm sure nobody would want to, like, you know, go on Laura Ingraham tonight and try to spin it and spin this headline as something bigger and more meaningful than it actually is, right? I mean, that would make that person just a narrative pushing whore. Might even cost them their credibility. But I doubt it. So I hope everybody has a happy and healthy and safe new year. And look out for each other out there, guys. Remember, there's no reason for us to hate each other, guys. We're not in a battle. There is no battle that's taken place for the soul of this country. The only thing that's happening, the real threat, is the narrative pushing whores who are looking to feed into this divide and feed into this narrative for their own gain, whether it's financial, relevance, votes, whatever. We don't have to be in that narrative, guys. We don't have to be in the noise. So my hope for everybody as we move into 2021 is we stay above the noise. We remember that we are different. We'll always be different. We're always going to have different views, opinions, things like that. But that's what makes us awesome, guys. That's what makes us awesome. And also, as always, send those comments, man. Send them away. Good, bad, whatever. Let's get some dialogue going. You know what I mean? Tell me your thoughts. Any topics you want me to cover. Call me an a-hole. That's just so you know, that's the first comment I ever got was, I think the guy wrote, "You're an a-hole." And he didn't use a-hole. But I was like, oh, cool. All right, I got a comment. So if you liked spending some time with me, you liked what you heard, liked the video, or if you didn't like it, click the like button. You know, I'm desperate. And obviously would love for you guys to subscribe. Guys, have a happy, healthy, safe new year. Look forward to hopefully spending a lot more time with you in 2021. So as always, guys, stay above the noise. Good night.